The South Asian country of Myanmar is seeing more than 70,000 of its Muslims fleeing the country, fearing violent oppression by the state's authorities. One Muslim community has been clashing with police and the armed forces to protect its ethnicity from violent methods of persecution. Myanmar's leader has been hailed as a political hero in the majority Buddhist country by some, but there's been plenty of criticism as well, as Nadira Tudor now reports.
What attributes do you think of when you envisage the ideal leader? Maybe a symbol of groundbreaking political revolution? Obviously, a person who holds the interests of the people. Or do you visualise an individual hailed by the media as a hero? She was an inspiration during the country's revolution in the 80s and even won the Nobel Peace Prize, as well as a US Congressional Golden Medal. The leader of the Southeast Asian state of Myanmar, Aung San Suu Kyi.
As a child, she witnessed history. When her country demanded freedom, she became its greatest hope.
Doesn't this sound like democratic perfection? But sadly, reality is far from perfect. While the leader revels in glory, the country is home to what the UN calls the most persecuted minority in the world, the Rohingya, a Muslim community of more than 1 million people. The Myanmar government doesn't recognise them as citizens of the country, effectively making them illegal immigrants. Last year, a series of brutal attacks were launched against the community after it clashed with police as the minority desperately tried to draw the authorities' attention to their horrific plight. Since then, more than 1,000 civilians have been killed and more than 20,000 internally displaced. Government forces have also been accused of wide-scale human rights violations, arson, rape and murder.
The military destroyed everything. After killing some Rohingya, the military burned their houses and shops. Now there's a danger to our survival. That's why we fled.
I can still hear their screams in my heart and my ears. We are really scared. We don't feel safe now. We're very scared as we heard the sounds from here and there. We're scared even when we eat. My heart is beating so fast.
After my husband was killed, I had no option but to run for my children's lives. We spent 2 nights in the hills and sneaked past the border. My children haven't had any food yet and they keep crying. We only got here because people from the camp gave us the bus fare.
Refugees coming across the border. They're coming across the border with bullet wounds, with shrapnel wounds. Quite clearly, this is a scorched earth offensive by the Burmese military. The government has to stop this offensive. It has to basically allow humanitarian assistance and also the journalists into this area. We have to actually see what's happened because quite clearly human rights violations have taken place.
Western officials have been vocal about the ongoing crisis, including the US envoy to the UN, Nikki Haley, who's urging the need to step in and end the violence.
As Burmese security forces act to prevent further violence, they have a responsibility to adhere to international humanitarian law, which includes refraining from attacking innocent civilians and humanitarian workers and ensuring assistance reaches those in need.
But the leader is not only making no attempt to stop the violence against the persecuted minority, she has made the situation even worse by posting hateful content online. One comment declares that the Rohingya makeshift army is a terrorist organization. Whilst the oppressed Muslim minority fights to survive, critics warn the West's old favorite, Aung San Suu Kyi, is doing everything but trying to resolve this deepening crisis.
Meanwhile, thousands of people have gathered in the capital of Russia's Chechen Republic in solidarity with the Muslim community in Myanmar. The protests are against the oppression they are facing in the Asian country. Russia's foreign ministry has urged both sides in the conflict to end the violence. There was a huge police presence in the city of Grozny to prevent any trouble among those at the rally. Earlier, a small demonstration was held in front of the Myanmar embassy in Moscow.